What is going on, everybody? Tom here with Black Sheep Keto, and welcome to another recipe video just for you subscribers out there. And if you're not a subscriber yet, please consider doing so. Now today we are making an awesome keto shrimp curry. Now this is using a bit of a coconut milk as a base. You could call it a coconut shrimp curry if you wanted to, but it's really just a shrimp curry. Now this thing is full of flavor, absolutely delicious, and can be made really, really quickly. So that sounds good to you guys? Hang on tight and let's get right into the recipe. Now to start things off, we're going to be basically building a dry rub for our shrimp. So what I got going on here is just a small bowl to mix everything in. We have 1 teaspoon of pink salt, 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Actually, sorry about that, guys. That was half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of ground red pepper, and 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper. Now the thing I love about white pepper is it adds like a mild smokiness to a dish, but it's very potent. So a 1/4 teaspoon here is gonna be fantastic. You go much more than that, it's gonna get a little bit overbearing. So anyway, what we're gonna do now is we're going to go ahead and mix this with a fork or basically anything you want. Just to try to get the spices nicely distributed. There may be some clumps that you wanna go ahead and break up if you can. Now what I have here is I've got 2 pounds of thawed, tail-on, peeled, deveined raw shrimp. I know that's a mouthful, but you guys will figure it out. You just want the tails on there or not, but just make sure they're peeled, deveined, and thawed. It's honestly the best way to do it. A lot less work than trying to do that all yourself. Then we're just gonna go ahead and sprinkle this dry rub in here and just toss it around. Now the cool thing about this is while we're cooking the rest of the dish, all those spices are really going to penetrate into the flesh of the shrimp, and it's going to add a nice bit of flavor all the way through our shrimp. So while these are doing that, I'm going to set them aside and we're going to get started on our curry sauce. Now that we have those shrimp set aside, it's time to really get going on the sauce. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this pan going over medium-high heat and add about a tablespoon of olive oil in there. As a note, you can pretty much use any type of oil you want. It's just so that we can nicely cook up our onion and garlic. So we have about 1/4 of a very large onion, so probably about half of a medium onion, that is diced up very finely. And then we have 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. And I'm just going to take my little scraper here and keep stirring this until that onion is getting close to translucent. So our onions here are pretty much done. It's a little hard to see because of the coloring from the olive oil, but they're very thinly sliced, so it doesn't take long. Now we're going to go ahead and make the base of our sauce, which is, we're going to start off with 1 can of coconut milk. This is unsweetened coconut milk, and it's a 13.6 ounce can. Go ahead and just pour that in. And then we're going to get to our spices here. So starting off here, this is 1.5 teaspoons of curry powder. We've got half a teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and lastly, half a teaspoon of cumin, or ground cumin. And then we're just going to go ahead and mix all this into our coconut milk. Now immediately, guys, this is going to smell just like curry. It's absolutely fantastic. Your whole house is going to smell great for like a day after this, I promise. So I'm actually going to go ahead and swap out my rubber scraper for just a rubber-coated whisk and try to work those spices in a little bit. As this comes up to a simmer, the spices will dissolve, so even if you have a couple clumps, it's not a big deal, but since I've got a rubber-coated whisk, I may as well do it. Now that I've broken up all those clumps, we're going to go ahead and let this come up to a brief simmer. So just leave it over your medium-high heat. As soon as it starts simmering, reduce it to medium, and I'll catch up with you guys then. Now as you can see, our sauce here is starting to simmer just a little bit. Go ahead and give it a quick whisking. And everything is looking great. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to add our shrimp that have been dry rubbed right into that curry sauce, because as it stands, that sauce is pretty bland. It may not look like it, but trust me, if you were to try it, not much flavor. So the benefit of doing the dry rub on the shrimp was that now those spices that are coating our shrimp and have soaked into the flesh of the shrimp are now going to season our sauce. So we're gonna dump those right in there. And if you get any of that juice, just make sure you dump all that juice out of this bowl. Now that is perfect, and I'm gonna go ahead and take my scraper again here and just kind of mix it in. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna let this simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes until the shrimp cook all the way through, and I'm gonna leave it uncovered, that way that sauce thickens up just a little bit. Also, I'm gonna go ahead and throw some cauliflower rice in the microwave. So next time you guys see me, I'll be putting the finished product on the screen right now, and we'll be meeting up for the taste test. All right, everybody, now that you've seen the recipe and the finished product, it is time for the taste test. So I have this plate right here. It's the same beautiful plate that you guys just saw in the finished product, and I'm gonna take a bite out of it. Now, as a reminder, guys, this is our curry served over some cauliflower rice. It was just cooked in a steam bag in the microwave. Nothing too fancy there. Anyway, let's get a bite. Make sure you got a shrimp, some rice, and a good amount of that sauce. Let's go. Now that is fantastic. It is such a complex flavor profile. Now yes, it is a little bit hot, and on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is mayonnaise and 10 is biting into like a Carolina Reaper, I'd give this a 4. Meaning, for me, it's not that hot. It has a little bit of kick to it, but I'd have to probably tone it down a little bit if I were to feed it to my mother. You guys know what I'm saying, right? So if you want to tone it down a little bit, just dial back the ground red pepper, or cayenne pepper as some people call it. Just dial that back down a little bit, and you turn the spices down. Beyond that, there's plenty of like strong curry flavor coming through there. You get a little bit of the coconut from the coconut milk, but altogether everything just has this nice, harmonious, complex flavor, and I absolutely love it for a dish that really doesn't take that long to make. Now, as always, the written recipe and macros will be down in the description box below. If you like this video, leave it a like. If you have any questions, comments, maybe even suggestions for recipes for me, leave them down in the comment section below. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do me a huge favor, guys. Hit that subscribe button, show us some love, and I will see you in the next one.